Greetings, old school gamers! In honor of Capcom's 30th anniversary, we're here to divvy out some quick, fun trivia tidbits pertaining to the Capcom arcade cabinet. Today we'll be focusing on the 3 games in Game Pack 1, the 1987 pack, Black Tiger, Avenger, and let's kick it off with 1943. Disregard the confusing nature of the 19 blankety-blank series. 1943 is actually the second game in the High Flying series, which followed up 1942 3 years later. Anyway, the biggest feature that sets 1943 apart from other vertical flight shooters is the inclusion of a health bar. Whereas most shooters operate on one-hit kills, 1943 gave you a bar that allowed you to take multiple hits and gradually decrease like a fuel gauge. Special attacks like lightning and tsunamis also decrease the bar, so they must be used sparingly, and the player must occasionally choose between upgrading their weapons and refilling the gauge. Power-ups also worked on a time basis, so keeping your weapons or your P-38 powered up is part of the game's strategy. However, cheaters will certainly delight in 1943's many secrets, such as coded inputs that unlock weapon upgrades on all 16 stages. We'll let you in on one hint, though. The little cow you may have seen floating around 1943's art, he's one of the several seemingly bizarre power-ups in the game, and you can snag him by firing into the clouds or onto the airship directly for an easy 20,000 points. Next up, Avenger. Before Capcom had made its name in fighting, they borrowed a page from their successive wave of flight shooters to bring us a top-down beat-em-up in 1987. Up to 2 players took up the role of Ko and Ryu, not to be confused with Ryu from Trojan, Ryu from Breath of Fire, or this guy. Speaking of Street Fighter, Avenger was co-developed by none other than Takashi Nishiyama, the man who would go on to create the original Street Fighter later that same year and executive produce Street Fighter 4. If that weren't enough Street Fighter trivia for you, Street Fighter fans may recognize Avenger's Japanese title, Hisatsu Baraiken, pardon the pronunciation, as a Dan Hibiki move in Street Fighter 4. The game is also an interesting take on the brawler before it was perfected in games like Final Fight. Ryu is armed with a punch and kick move as well as a roundhouse kick, but has a lot more in common with flight shooters like 1943, and items found randomly in breakable objects increase your health, speed, and power. Yet there are a ton of surprises scattered throughout the game. Since you're on foot, you have much more mobility than your average jet or ship, and although the game doesn't prompt you, you can even enter buildings for bonus modes and weapon buys. Finally, we've arrived at Black Tiger, which is yours free to download on Xbox Live and PlayStation Network. Known as Black Dragon in Japan, here is the spiritual successor to one of Capcom's first arcade hits, Ghosts and Goblins. Although many things have been enhanced, not the least of which being a less brutal difficulty and a larger focus on vertical platforming, Black Tiger has a ton in common with Ghosts and Goblins. Although Black Tiger's much less cartoony, the games share a similar setting, and our barbarian hero's health bar comes in the form of an increased level of nudity, and Firebrand fans even have a Red Aramur appearance to look forward to. But the Capcom cameos do not end there. You'll also find famous power-ups featured in Capcom's other arcade games of the era, such as those little pinwheel thingies called Yasichis, that Moo Cow again, and cameos from Capcom's arcade stars, such as that little robot from Sidearms. Going further than just referencing the past, Black Tiger created a piece of Capcom's future, Zenny. In Black Tiger, you collect Zenny to buy new weapons, armor upgrades, potions, and treasure chest keys. However, the Zenny is also accepted throughout many lands in the Capcom universe, such as Mega Man Legends, Breath of Fire, and the Battle Network series. Check it out for yourself because you can get Black Tiger free of charge in the Capcom arcade cabinet on PlayStation Network and Xbox Live.
Rated T for Teen.